Welcome to another Founder Wisdom Pod leadgen edition and podcasting edition with Dancho Dimkov, that is. He's founder at BISB Solutions. He's also founder at danchodimkov.com. You can go check him out there. He has his own pod. He has his own speaking summit, which we're going to talk about today. Dancho, can you introduce yourself? Tell us a bit more about what you're up to nowadays.
Of course. Charles, thank you for inviting me. I mean, when I usually need to present myself, I have a longer version, but that requires few beers. And the shorter version is that I tried to be a digital serial entrepreneur. 8 years ago, I started a lead generation agency. It grew fantastically. It moved into the consultancy world. Now I actually try to be a serial podcaster because I've started several shows. And in short, what we do is a B2B appointment setting agency, Charles. We try to help high ticket service providers through the whole lead gen process, from identification of the ideal client process up to a meeting is booked. That's really the short version I can do.
And why did you started focus your efforts on podcasting? What did you see into podcasting that most did not?
Well, interestingly, as we got older, kind of the target audience shifts, because previously SEO, write a blog, write an ebook, and we do have like 300 blogs on our website and 10 different ebooks for lead magnet purposes. But at some point we said we need to diversify our content. And when it came to podcast, it's like there is that fear of talking in front of microphone. There is that fear of starting a podcast. But honestly, once I've started, I now have like 4 or 5 different shows, each specifically orchestrated to fit a different purpose. And if you ask me, one of my main podcasts, which is Sweet Buzz, is the one for me, my journey on how I scale up my agency. And in all honesty, Charles, it helped me fine tune my voice. It's like who I am, what are my thoughts, more like a diary, if you ask me, because you had a hard meeting, you talk on the podcast. You had a quick, nice win, you talk on the podcast. You're brainstorming about some strategic directions, you talk it on the podcast. So that particular podcast is like 3, 5, 7 minutes short bits where I just take up my phone. I talk about things that are bothering as I'm on my journey to scale my company. So it really adds to the clarity of what I want, where we're headed, and what's going on.
And how did that change the agency? What do you do for your clients precisely, and how do you sell them the idea?
Well, when it comes to clients and podcasting, I had several cold prospects that when I start reaching out to them, they were like, before the meeting, I actually listened to your podcast. I love your episode about XYZ. And I was like, okay, because when you call prospect, you need to position yourself as an expert in the field, as a technical person that knows what he's doing. And when they come back to you on a call and they say, I've actually listened to your podcast, then you've actually achieved your goal. You're already established as an expert in the field. And the only goal is then to just listen to what the client really needs and try to be honest, whether you can really help them or not.
Interesting. And I'm seeing you have clients from all over the world there. So like, do you still do LinkedIn outreach for them? Do you still do like direct sales for them? What percentage of campaigns are podcasts for them as a service, and what percentage is normal SDR stuff?
Well, over the years, we evolved, Charles. We started as a database building agency, which was the simplest one. At some point, we've added copywriting team in-house so we could actually cover the whole email. But LinkedIn currently is our primary service because the type of clients that we work with, some of them are saying, you know what, we can automate the outreach process. But sometimes when they target really expensive services or even the Fortune 500, then they kind of rent off SDRs, like a complete full-time SDR that's going to work for them. And percentage-wise, more than 70% of the work we do is on LinkedIn based. 20 to 30%, 20 actually percent is more toward the email. We've even introduced, Charles, Upwork as a sales channels for companies. So we have multiple agencies that are hiring us so we can handle their Upwork freelance world. So it is an interesting mix. But if I talk about podcasting and lead generation, for now, we still haven't offered it as a service to other companies, Charles. It's more that we are actively utilizing multiple podcast shows for BISB purposes. So maybe I can give you a bit idea of what we're trying to do at which show to get a better picture. Is that, for example, as our target audience are high ticket service providers, well, one of our show is helping B2B high ticket service providers grow with one lesson at a time. That primary focus is potential clients. We invite people to our podcast with the hope of them growing them into clients. Many times during the sales call, I can understand that they are really good and I can invite them to that show. So that show is a bit more general, is one lesson at a time. So I can cover multiple subjects, but it's a great value ladder increment for potential call prospects. Another show that we do is the B2B outbound marketing and sales automation series. In that one, I'm more focused on collaborators. I mean, I want to be connected with a lot of automation tools like Meet Alfred, like Outbound, like Scrubbing, FindThatLead.com, plenty of automation tools. So what we do is we started inviting the CEOs to our show so they can share how their automation tool works. And it's a really nice thing because now when we're building a summit, I can just reach out to them and I already have good level of connections. And with my journey of Sweet Buzz, it's pretty personal podcast where I target to show my journey, and it's really more personal. That comes more of me wanting to become a thought leader so people can start following me, take them through the journey of what's happening. So those are the kind of three primary podcasts that we have. And then we had one-time podcast series of 10 episodes, which was Sweet Leads, which is based on the book that we actually have published. And on top of the book, we actually create a 10 episode series to actually cover the audio visual part.
That's pretty cool. The tech stack part, how do you do it specifically? Do you like identify manually a list of experts that are good with technology and pre-ask them, what's your tech stack? And then since it's audio format, like do you share your screen sometimes? Like how do you have them make the audience quickly understand what they do and how do they do it?
Well, when it comes to the automation tools episode, it is a video series because they need to share their screen and show through the process, like these are the features with lead generation, with automations and everything. With the B2B expert, we kind of do both. We do a video interview where we can put it on YouTube. Then we take out the audio and create it as a separate podcast, which is distributed across, 50 different platforms at the same time. So the recordings are mostly on Zoom, and to be honest, I'm not really happy with the quality that you can take out from Zoom. As much as I want, even if you set it up at a high quality, it's not as good as it should be. And then, internal in my marketing team, once we finish the recording, they are able to add the intro, the outro, the transcription. For each video, we create a separate page on our website with the transcription, with social media snippets that we can share it through different social media. So when we invite someone, we really try to share their story to as large an audience as possible.
Interesting. Last but not least, your summit. What's the idea behind that? Isn't it complicated to reunite like 12 speakers, make them commit, and then extinguish the fires if they happen live? And then how do you get your audience on the other side?
Well, it's funny, Charles. Last year was our first summit, so we were so lost in space. We had like 30 days to figure everything out, and they told me it couldn't be done because a summit requires 3 to 6 months to plan, to orchestrate. And I was like, hold my beer. We made it in 30 days. But the whole idea behind the Prospecting and Outreach Summit is to actually connect key experts in the field. We're not the only one that works into the prospecting and outreach. There are so many other agencies, there are automation tools, there are content providers, there are different stakeholders in the entire ecosystem. So our goal was actually, let's bring everybody together and start talking about the outreach. So last year we had actually 12 speakers and it was a whole day event. I mean, early in the morning, European time, now I'm talking. Early in the morning, we had speakers from Australia. So for them, it was afternoon already. During our daytime, we covered whole Europe, like Austria, UK, from the Balkan speakers. And as European come into the afternoon, we actually had speakers from the US, from Canada. And I find it really insightful because just to get 12 people on the same spot talking sequentially on different topics on the lead generation aspect, on the one hand, it really brings BISB on the behind the shadows because we positioned ourselves on the map that this is BISB and we can start doing this event outreach. And on the second part is that it gives a lot of value because we pre-recorded them. Then we put a lot of marketing on our speakers. It's like speaker number one, even interviews, blog posts around the speakers, snippets from the videos, because the whole point is that there is no win-lose game in this prospecting and outreach world. I mean, it's so big world that at the end of the day, if we start supporting each other and collaborating and hopefully moved from, the general perspective is like, oh, so you're a spammer, and hopefully move the whole prospecting beyond that spammy behavior so we can all be more relationship built, more laser focused, so we won't spam the crap out of the world. I think that we are making a good impact toward that.
And in terms of revenue, you have your courses, you have your book, you have these summits and all these new products. Like, what is your main source of revenue, and do you focus the equal amount of time to that amount of source of revenue in the whole pool?
When it comes to revenue streams, LinkedIn as a service is our main revenue stream. Renting of SDR comes pretty close as a second. On the other hand, the book and the academy, these are more of digital asset that we put, like the book, it took me 2 years. The academy, 1 year to do all the recording. So now it becomes like a digital service that you can sell it indefinitely. And for me, it was strategically orchestrated, Charles, because we said in the done for you, we have the agency. In the do it yourself, we have the book and the academy, depending how much in depth you want to learn. And the done for you, we have the consultancy, which is danchodimkov.com. So I was able to actually offer different services to different target audience, because many times we would have a potential client on the call and he would say, you know what, but I actually have my sales teams. I just need someone to help me out. And we weren't able to serve them from BISB. But now with the differentiations with the done for you and do it yourself, we can actually attract different market segments.
What will be your top 3 goals for this year, the rest of this year?
Well, rest of this year, that's really a short timeline. It's like 2 months. But first one would be survive the summit, which is actually on 15th of November. So it's really already lining up. We already have potential speakers. We're now finalizing the list of the speakers. So honestly, up to the 15th of November, that would be our primary goal. And other than that, I mean, Christmas is coming, Black Friday is coming. I don't think that we're going to push harder on the last quarter, because somehow all the work that we do is on a subscription base. So we are already at 95% of capacity utilization. So it's not like we can onboard 10 new clients to be more salesy, but I would rather, as an entrepreneur, try to add additional services like podcast as a service, guest podcasting as a service. That's also a nice thing. Event outreach is something that we're just launching now, where we're going to screen specific events, find all the target audience, and reach out to them on our clients' behalf. So my job is actually innovation, because 6 months ago, I actually hired a CEO in BISB. So I'm now kind of semi-retired. I don't have operational activities. So the CEO is responsible for client happiness, employee happiness, and all that operational stuff. So I can really focus on the strategic partnerships, and focus on growing my agency.
Good job for that. Where can people find out more about you, Dancho?
Well, as a virtuoso of LinkedIn, I think that the LinkedIn is the best starting point, because if you go to Dancho Dimov, I try to post frequently there about the latest stuff that is happening. Other than that, danchodimkov.com is my consultancy website. But other than that, the third place is BISB Solutions.com. I mean, as an agency, we have so many case studies, testimonials, even an interactive word map. So you can see 500 clients' portfolio through different parts of the world and how distributed we really are.
And I am Charles Cormier. That was Dancho Dimkov. You can find us at CEOwisdompodcast.com and or founderwisdompodcast.com.